Hello, everybody. This is Randy Bennett with Weazel News. I am here with Stan and Jasper here to represent the butcher in the case. So,
Jasper
gentlemen, I
Conrelius Esquire.
Stan Ivanov?
yes. I just have a few questions, some quick questions for you both. We'll start with Stan, and then we'll work our way over to Jasper.
Okay.
How do you feel going into this case?
Anytime there's allegations such as these, you get a little uneasy, but, it's all in a day's work for a lawyer.
Absolutely. And Jasper, same question goes to you.
Well, yeah, it's a grim subject matter. A lot of horrible things happen. And be honest with you, it makes me sick just thinking about what we're gonna have to go over today. It's a grueling slog of a disgusting journey we're all about to take, and well, I ain't looking forward to it. But even a wolf deserves legal representation in this great state of
Absolutely.
San Andreas in the United States of America. We
Absolutely.
may not like it, but no matter who it is, you get accused by the law, somebody needs to be there for you. And that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. Stan, do you feel like you and Jasper have an advantage going into this case?
I don't want to speak too specifically on the details of this case. We don't want to taint the trial here, but I think, we're going to give it our best shot here, and we'll see how the court decides.
All right, and
Well, I mean, we're at a very specific disadvantage because the fellow in question was on Twitter talking about eating people in soup form for a long period of time. For long, it seemed almost endless period of time he was going on about that. So it's going to be real hard, here. And our stance is, of course, this man did this. He quite obviously, open and shut did this, where it seems almost odd to even have a trial. But still,
yes.
What we're saying here is this man was clearly insane. He was raised in isolation and forced to eat human meat his entire life. Human meat drives you mad. Gives you goddamn illness, makes you hunger for it, drive for it. It's all he ever knew was isolation and eating his fellow man in soup form. And that's nuts if you ask me. Like that's just freaking crazy,
Mm-hmm.
That name's something crazier than growing up in a house in the middle of nowhere with a family who eats people. And gumbo is a southern dish. We are in the Southwest. Gumbo is not a big deal out here. You shouldn't even be having gumbo. You should have pozole.
Oh yes.
Pozole is delicious, and it seems like I've always heard. It's a disgusting subject matter, but I've always heard that a human is very similar to pork, which is the main meat in pozole. And so it probably wouldn't even be that, be like one of those instant pot, crock pot transfers where you just got to adjust the recipe a bit. You're right on target, be my guess.
Absolutely.
But gumbo, it's like a rice thing. And you're more chicken, seafood, and whatnot. Like I just don't think it's crazy to put a human, like it's already crazy to be eating human, but it's like eating a human popsicle or something. It just doesn't seem like the way you'd eat human. It seems incorrect in every goddamn stretch of the imagination. And I don't care if that's controversial. I'm against eating people. I'll tell you right here, right now. I don't care who knows it out there. You're eating people, you better watch out because I have a problem with that.
All right. And the final question for you both. Knowing what the butcher is being accused of, do you both feel any remorse going into this case for the victims?
I'll go first. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody deserves to be turned into human, gumbo.
Soup. Yeah, nobody should be turned into soup. What the fuck? You think crazy? We don't have remorse for people who are turned into soup? That sounds exquisitely painful. That is sad. Whenever people are turned into soup, it is sad. That's another thing. I don't care who knows that.
All right. I thank you both for your time.
Indeed.
And I wish you both the best of luck.
Best of luck to you as well.
All right. Thank you.
I'll remember you, Season.
He kind of looks like Elmo to me.
Everyone go ahead and rise.
All right, you may be seated.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Supreme Court. My name is Judge Johnny Sins. It's a pleasure to have everybody in here. I'm going to set some ground rules real quick. Make sure you silence your phones, turn your radios off. If you need or eat and you're currently not testifying, you're free to do so. If at any time you feel like you need to use the restroom, just let us know. Without further ado, this is going to be the court case of the people versus Jack Uhoff. Jack Uhoff is represented by his lawyers, Mr. Stan and Jasper, I believe, with the LSDAO.
Jasper Conrelius Esquire.
Awesome. And the people are going to be represented by the District Attorney, Chief Henney. Before we start today's proceedings, a discovery email chain has been created where all sides have seen potential evidence that will be admitted in the court and have agreed upon. Prior to court starting, both sides have been given the court procedures, which they have acknowledged. And without further ado, we're going to begin. Mr. Henney, all your witnesses here and accounted for?
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Cornelius, is all of your witnesses that you tend to use here and accounted for, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Mr. Henney, you may approach the podium and provide your testimony.
All right. Good afternoon to you, Judge Sins. My name is District Attorney Chief Henney. I'm representing the people in the case of Jack Uhoff versus San Andreas. We are charging Jack here with 10 charges of first-degree murder, 13 charges of kidnapping, 13 charges of torture, and 3 charges of attempted murder. We're also asking for the death penalty. During this case, I intend to show you what the state has gathered, and what the theme of this case is going to be the fact that this man has struck fear throughout the city. To begin, I'd like to first say a monster. A monster is defined as one who deviates from normal or acceptable behavior or character and or is a threatening force. To say this man right here does not hit every aspect of that description would be false. I'd like to right now call Sason to the stand.
I need you to raise your hands, Mr. Sason.
Okay.
And do you swear that the evidence you shall give to the court in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, you may put your hands down and provide your testimony, sir.
So,
Says-
okay.
Citizen, I'd like to first thank you for coming up here and telling your story. I know it's hard because, the circumstances, and you're being very strong doing this. To start out, I just asked, can you tell me what happened in May between you and the man standing here?
I was with a couple friends outside of my warehouse, where a very ominous van pulled up, and there was uh, this man and his family, and they told me to get in the van. My friends ran away. Uh, I stood my ground. Um, then they ended up bagging my head, bringing me somewhere. I, I it smelled like iron. It smelled. It it didn't smell pleasing. There once 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 they removed the bag off my head, they continued asking me if I wanted to try some of their their gumbo, and I politely refused just because of the rumors that were going around, um, of possible human parts being in them. Uh, so that didn't sit well with them. So I I I then pleaded with them. I brought gifts, one of which was a pink teddy bear. They they thought it was the bigger brother thought it was good, uh, but then he proceeded getting mad. I don't know if it was I don't know what I did wrong, and they just uh, proceeded to 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 uh, to take my fingers
Today, Junior.
and and
Can you please
and
quiet
then
down now?
Mr.
and
Mr. Statham, I'm going to just pause you real quick. Chief Hunter, if you could please gag your arrestee.
You're doing great, Jason. Keep it up.
oh God, can I proceed?
Yes, sorry, sir. You may proceed.
I I then passed out in the pool of my own blood, and when I woke up, they 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 finally decided to take my my hair, my real hair. At that point, I I I didn't know what happened after there, but I woke up in pillbox, uh, 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 nothing on my head, and with missing fingers and toes, and that's all I remember.
Can you point at the man responsible for what you just explained happened to you?
Oh God.
Let the court be known he is pointing at Jack you off.
Oh,
And Jason, what kind of emotional damage have you sustained from this?
I pride myself on my hair. I can't see it go missing again. My real hair, it's real. Let it be known. Can you can can you put it in that it's real hair? It was it was donated. It's real hair.
Yes,
God,
it looks very great.
thank you. And yeah, you know, me being me and my news crew were now the future. You know, I pride myself on my vision and my looks, and this is all I have.
That will be all. Your excuse, Mr. Jason. Feel free to go sit back down.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. J. Actually, Mr. Jatham, real quick
Yeah.
before you leave.
Yep.
The defense, would you guys, now's an opportunity for you to cross-examine Mr. Cornelius. Will you be using this opportunity to conduct a cross-examination?
Indeed. Just a couple brief questions, if I could.
Okay, yep. Go ahead and approach the podium, and you may ask questions directed towards Mr. Jatham.
Indeed. And Mr. Saison, I appreciate you coming out here. I know this is a very traumatic experience for you, and imagine reliving it has got to be a horror unimaginable by even an exploding roof. There.
Yeah.
On
It has to be
behalf of
done.
everybody here, you know, in the court of law, I thank you. But I would like to ask, you said several members of Mr. U-Haul's family here were abducted, yes? Involved in
Yeah.
this incident? Now,
Yes.
when Chief asked you, or Officer, goddamn, whatever, Mr. Chief there, Mr. Henney asked you, you know, why this man here, who was singularly responsible, why do you hold him singularly responsible for the actions of a group of people?
Because each and every one of them took a bit of me that day.
Uh,
None of
Did
the
they take the
butchers.
part of you that, you know, can sort multiple people from one people?
Objections,
What was
leading the witness.
leading the witness?
Objection denied. You may continue, Mr. Cornelius.
Yeah, I'm just asking, what absolves the rest? What makes you say this fella here was singularly responsible for the actions of that group that day?
I mean, you know, something like that you don't forget.
Of course, I'm not asking you whether you remembered or not. I'm just asking of the group, why was this man here, my client, singularly responsible for the actions of that family of cannibals? Can you say that that's the only exception I'm taking here. This man here fares intensely.
Jeez. Well, if he's involved and he proceeded with torturing me, wouldn't I?
It will.
I mean,
Yeah, but how is he responsible for all of it? That was the question. Who was the man responsible for all of this? And it was him, as if he was a gang. Did he seem as a gang leader to you? Was it, or is it a family? Was it a group?
Mr. Cornelius, I'm going to need you to ask a single specific question at a time, please.
Sorry, that's why I'm trying to put a finer head on it because it seems to be having a hard time with the question.
Well, it seemed like a family of torturers. Yes.
Okay, all right, that's all I wanted to establish. The defense is done with this reference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cornelius. And Mr. Jatham, you may now leave the podium. Thank you for your time, sir.
Oh, thank God.
All right, Judge, are you ready for me to continue?
Yep, you may continue.
That right there leads us up to October 25th. The police received an anonymous call for a putrid smell coming from a home on O'Neill Lane. I'd like to call Chief Hunter to the stand.
And Mr. Hunter, if you can, for the record, say your first name and your last name.
Santiago Hunter.
And you're employed with who?
I'm the current chief of the Los Santos Police Department.
Okay, you hold the current rank of chief at the Los Santos Police Department. For the record, we have acknowledged you as a sworn, full-time, salaried peace officer for the city.
Yes.
If you could raise your hands for me, please. Do you swear that the evidence you shall give to the court in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, you can put your hands down and you may proceed.
1 second, Your Honor. My evidence files seem to be having a fit. All right, we'll start out here. So, Chief Hunter, I would like you to please, for the record, give the location of the home that you were called to on the 28th.
It was the farmhouse on O'Neill.
Let that be for the record. Can you tell me what you first saw upon arriving at the scene?
Well, the thing I first saw wasn't even at the scene. It was actually a blood trail leading up to the scene. As we followed it, we even found blood on the doorknob leading into the home. As we entered the kitchen, there were cooking pots filled with questionable meat of unknown source. There was a video in the TV playing of Weazel Fiker being beaten. As we headed down the stairs, we saw a carcass of something. I can't recall if it was human or animal, hanging off the wall, and a lady dead on the ground.
And during this whole thing, when let's go back to when you first pulled up. Was there anything like I see there's blood on the ground, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So as you were following the blood, what was your first thought? I guess what went through your brain? Did you know what was going on, or?
I couldn't tell for sure, but I had a good feeling that there was another victim of the Blaine County Butcher.
All right. Another thing I'd like to ask is, I heard there was a bunch of pictures found. Can you explain the pictures that you found on the table?
Yes, sir. So once we reached the basement, which was labeled as Jack's room, we found a diary which had a few names on it, including my own, labeled as their next targets. I don't recall the exact names of the other people, but I believe it was Willow, Mike, Fernando, and then I believe there was another name that wasn't mine.
Was there
You'll
anything
find that back in the evidence, and they were pictures. There was a video in the TV playing of one of the pictures being of Miss Willow Bennet at Cole's Shots and Pistons.
All right, and Your Honor, just so you know, I'm currently emailing you all evidence of this as he speaks.
Okay, when you're ready to enter each item into evidence, you'll need to state what that item is, and then we'll make sure the defense has received a copy, and then we'll give it an exhibit number. But we'll let Mr. Chief Hunter finish his testimony first.
All right, and did you find anything else while you were at this crime scene that overall just helped you to press charge or put charges on this man?
Well, the pictures of his future targets, the diary, with my name included, we began to tell the people that hang around Miss Willow Bennet to keep an eye out, because their shop where they work at is relatively close to the crime scene, and we deployed Air One, multiple state troopers, deputies, and officers to start combing the area, but we didn't have any luck finding Mr. Uhoff then.
And for the record, you did say, and the house was owned by Mr. Uhoff?
It wasn't owned by Mr. Uhoff himself, but it was owned by an older lady who had the same last name as him.
Like a grandma.
Yes.
Sounds good. That'll be all. Defense is your witness.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like to go through the evidence real quick?
Nope, we will do a cross-examination if they want, and then you can come back and do your evidence.
Sounds good.
Mr. Cornelius, is now your chance to have a cross-examination of Mr. Chief Hunter. Are you going to exercise that right, sir?
Yes, thing you want to do here? Yes, I will.
Okay, you may approach.
You're goddamn defender. Go ahead.
Does prosecution have any pictures of these diaries?
Yes, I do.
Can those be admitted to evidence?
Yes.
If your cross-examination is going to be part of the photographs, we can enter the photographs now, if that's what you guys would like.
Yes.
Don't know what we're looking at here.
Okay, perfect. Then, Mr. Henney, if you could please, one by one, state the evidence you're entering, and we'll give them exhibit numbers. So the first picture I see here is the first two pictures. Well, I'll go with the first one. It appears to be a black sedan with a single solid red light in the left rear window. With is that bloodstain on a T intersection dirt roadway?
Yes, it is.
Okay, in the defense, do you see that same photograph?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so that will be
My fucking damn it.
Mr. Henney, if you can
Okay.
control your hands, please.
I'm trying.
That will be entered as Exhibit A for the record. Let me just make a note real quick. The second photograph that I see is going to be, it appears to be the same black vehicle with a solid red light in the rear window in front of a two-story, older style house with appears to be a blood trail starting in the roadway and then going into a front yard and patio area. Defense, do you see that photograph as well?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay, that will be considered Exhibit B. Let me just make a note real quick. Third photograph appears to be somebody wearing a vest that says police in the back, and something going on with the front door. I believe it's a blood trail. Maybe Mr. Henney, you can explain the photo to me.
Yeah, that is the blood trail leading throughout the house.
Okay, up to the front door. Defense, do you see that as well?
Oh, the front door one? That is actually blood on the door handle.
Yeah,
showing
I see
that.
blood on door handle.
Okay, in
Man,
defense,
was
you see
this
that as
ever
well.
tested? Whose blood was this on the handle?
That'll be for later, Mr. Cornelius.
Okay.
Do you see the photograph?
I do see the photograph. Yes.
Okay, so that'll be noted as Exhibit C. Give me 1 sec. The following photograph appears to be inside of a house with a hallway to the left.
Yep, that is blood in the hallway, showing a blood trail leading throughout the house.
With the red carpet or the red and gray carpet.
Yep.
Okay, defense, do you see that? It should be the fourth photograph.
Yes.
Indeed.
Okay, that'll be Exhibit D. The fifth photograph looks like maybe a kitchen.
Yes, in that pot was gumbo that had various body parts of his victims mixed into it.
Okay, that'll be defense. Do you see that photograph as well?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay, that'll be exhibit E. Following that photograph, it looks like, I don't know, a storage area or something with a table in the center of the room, flanked by 2 wooden posts. Defense, do you see that photograph as well?
Yes.
That photograph is where he made the gumbo. Cook the body parts and such.
Okay, sorry, defense. Do you see that photograph? I couldn't hear you.
Indeed, yes, we do.
Okay, that'll be exhibit F. The next photograph is I see a water tank, a water heater, possibly with some boxes. Defense, do you see that photograph?
And I do. Yep, water tank.
That is a
Jack's
picture of the
diary.
diary.
Okay, that's going to be exhibit
That's
G.
late.
The next photograph is going to be a set of double doors with a single door to the left. Looks like a purple or blue wall that's deteriorating. Defense, do you see that photograph?
Yes, we do. Butcher
Okay.
axe in wall.
And just to save time here, folks, the photograph after that is red walls with a single door. Looks like maybe some kind of
Table
shelf
with a
storage
bunch
on
of
the wall.
words and anonymous on cone caller and coming anonymous call right here.
Cool. So just in sequence of the alphabet, those will follow as well. Defense, do you have a problem with us speeding that up?
Nope,
Nope,
of course not. Nope.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and make those notes real quick in the email chain. And Mr. Henney, does that conclude all the evidence you're going to provide at this time?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So, Mr. Cornelius, you may continue your cross-examination.
Thank you very much. Now, first of all, thank you for your service, Chief. And thank you for coming out here. Once again, I know these are grim circumstances here.
They are, yes.
Does any of this blood trails, blood on wall, blood here, blood there, gumbo here, gumbo there, was anybody ever tested for DNA?
The blood was tested. The blood all came back to the female laying on the floor there that was dead. Her name was Alice Cooper.
Fantastic. Good to know. Good to know. And then when you're walking around this house, looking around there, it seemed like a good house to live in? Seemed like a place you'd like to raise a family?
No.
Well, seemed like maybe the house of somebody who is insane?
I wouldn't go that far. I would
Do
more
you think
say
a
so.
sane person would like to live in a house covered with blood and gumbo? Does that seem like a sane thing to do?
No.
No, it doesn't. I didn't think so myself. All right, event's done. Thank you.
Okay, just to make this simple, let's have Mr. Chief Hunter sit back down. You can continue your testimony, and then if he needs to come up for a testimony of his own in relation to the chronological events proceeding forward in the timeline, then that's okay. You may continue.
All right. Well, all of that I was just previously, mentioned, brings us to October 31st, where officers were alerted by a Twitter account with the at Butcher of a picture showing Willow Bennet in handcuffs. I'll be emailing you that picture right now.
Okay, and does the defense see the photograph of some motorcycles? It appears to be 1 or 2 females in a green tent.
Yes.
That's going to be entered into court. The photograph itself will be entered into court as Exhibit L.
Well, I would actually like to call Chief Hunter to the stand.
And for the record of the court, Mr. Hunter has already identified himself as a full-time salaried peace officer with the current rank of chief for the Los Angeles Police Department. At this time, Chief Hunter, I am going to have you swear in again, so if you raise your hand, both hands. Do you swear that the evidence you shall give to the court in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may put your hands down.
Good afternoon again, Chief. I understand on October 31st that you were the responding officer, one of the responding officers, correct?
Correct.
Can you lay out the scene for me and tell me what happened on that day?
We responded to the tweet that went out. Some officers recognized the location being across the gas station on the highway leading towards Polito. There's a little cubby. When we arrive on scene, there's a few bikers out there already. Mike Laster being one of them, as he knows Willow Bennet very well. About 12 officers in total arrived on the scene, a mixture of troopers, deputies, and police department. Mr. Uhoff had a hatchet to Willow Bennett's throat, and his demand was Mr. Jason Chatham's hair. So we dispatched an officer to proceed to fetch Mr. Sason. Upon arriving, Mr. Sason Chatham bravely pulled his hair out, put it in a box, and Trooper Casey proceeded to hand over the box to the to Mr. Uhoff. He then released Miss Bennet, and upon release, he began to wildly flail his hatchet towards both the trooper and Miss Bennet, and then all officers opened fire.
All right, and then what happened after that? After you guys were able to detain him?
I Mirandized him. We took him to pillbox, where they operated on him to save his life, which they succeeded in. We then brought him back to MRPD, where we questioned him for about 2 hours.
And during this questioning, what kind of things were revealed?
He began to reveal that the home belonged to his grandmother, that his two brothers, who presumably also have the last name of Uhoff, had fled the state. He didn't want to bend when he kept claiming that he had killed multiple people, but he never had proof. So we began to play on his ego, and eventually he caved in and gave us location of 5 bodies buried beside Mr. DeLuca's home near the lighthouse, marked with a hatchet, and 5 more bodies marked with a hatchet at the actual lighthouse.
All right, and during all this, was there anything else that was said that that he admitted to in this?
Yes, he admitted to cutting off a certain bad boy's toes and eating them. He claimed, in his own words, that they were delicious. But the most memorable one was Mr. Sason.
All right, that'll be all on this side. Judge, at this time, I will be emailing you over some evidence to support what my witness just said.
Okay. Mr. Henney, I just received a picture. It appears to be an officer outside of some tents.
Yes, that is the butcher at gunpoint. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but that's him with Willow, a hatchet to Willow's throat.
Okay, and this is what is this viewpoint from? Is this from a body camera? Is this from independent person taking a picture?
This is a body cam of one of the officers on scene.
Okay. Does the defense see this as well?
It's hard to see exactly what's happening, but we see the picture.
We get the gist, yeah.
Okay, that'll be added in as exhibit M, as in Mary. I also have it appears to be an interrogation room transcript, and then a forensic report as well. Is that correct, Mr. Henney?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and the interrogation room transcript, is the defense able to open that up and view it?
I should be, yes.
If you could just double check for me, please.
End date.
Okay. The transcript will be exhibit N as in Nora, and then the forensic report will be O as in Ocean. We'll make those notes here shortly.
2 more beings.
Okay, and the defense received the picture of looks like a lonely tree in the dirt, and then somebody taking a photograph of the dirt.
The first picture is the amount of dirt with the hatchet that Jack here identified him burying 5 of the bodies at, and the second picture is the other buried spot.
Okay, and the defense can see those 2 new photographs as well.
Yes.
Indeed.
Okay, those will be exhibits P and Q for the record. And Mr. Henny, do you have anything further from Chief Hunter?
Nope, that will be all.
Okay, at this time, the defense, Mr. Cornelius, you have an opportunity to conduct a cross-examination of Chief Hunter. Are you guys going to be exercising that right?
Indeed. Indeed.
Okay, you may proceed.
Fantastic. Good to see you again, Chief Hunter. Thank you again.
Likewise.
Just out of curiosity, during this interrogation you had, when you said you played upon his ego, how did you do that?
Well, the interrogation started with both Darklighter and Sheriff Mike Hawk questioning him, which went on for about an hour and a half, and then myself, and Max Keller, who's an officer at the LSPD, decided to go in because Mr. Uhoff kept claiming that he had killed so many people, but never provided any proof of him actually killing people. So we just started to say that he was nothing but a common thug, um, that he's pretty much nothing more than a bank robber that we have so many of in the city, kidnapping people, and I guess that bruised his ego, and he gave up the locations of those two burial sites.
Now, along with this medical treatment he received after, what was exactly how many gunshots were there involved in the apprehension of Mr. Uhoff here?
It is extremely difficult to tell as there was approximately 12 officers on scene, and
You don't make reports when you fire your weapons or anything like that?
I was more concerned about capturing a potential serial killer.
Afterwards, when you filled out your reports, you got bullets and to figure out how many shots were fired or anything like that?
No.
Okay, just making sure. And was there any type of thing with the I guess I should ask the defense here. Was there any type of medical evidence how many times this man was shot? Is basically what I know. I want to understand exactly how many bullet impacts this fella here survived.
Objection relevance?
It will all become clear.
It'll
I'm
as
just
of right
trying to
now,
get
the
to bottom.
objection is going to be denied. You may continue, Mr. Cornelius.
I need to get to the bottom of the actual use of force here and what was involved in apprehending this man.
Yeah, you may continue.
Can we get a rough estimate of how many bullets were put into this person who is still standing here staring at us right now?
Both in him, only the doctor would know, I presume. But if I had to give a rough estimate,
exactly, that's what I'm asking for. Thank
if I had to give a rough estimate, I would say about 60 shots were fired from officers.
60 shots were fired. How many your officers? What's your confidence in their ability to hit a man this size from varying distances? Pretty good.
Well, pretty good. But like I did it, Mr. Yov did lunge suddenly towards Miss Bennet and Officer Casey.
Lunging does make things remarkably difficult, but if you had to put a ballpark estimate on the 60 shots that were fired by your officers, how many found their way into Mr. Uhoff over here? What would you say it would be?
45.
45 gunshots into Mr. Uhoff. Good to know. Good to know. And after all the interactions here, is this the last time we're going to be calling up Chief Hunter here, or am I going to be cross-examining him again in 2 minutes as another witness? All right. Good to know. All your interactions, to put a cap on, the longest time out of anybody in this room, I'd say, that has spent with Mr. Uhoff. How sane on a level of 1 to 10 would you think he is? Deal with criminals on a regular basis? Yes.
He seemed to be in full control of anything he did.
Well, let me say this, basically. If you're to hold a sane beauty pageant for all the criminals that you have ever dealt with in your long period of time as an
Your Honor,
officer,
he's trying to lead the witness.
who would be the sanest or the least sanest of all?
Yeah, Mr. Cornelius, that objection is going to be sustained. I'm going to have you ask a different question.
Okay. On schedule. All right. So, in your opinion, whatsoever, this fella here, who you claim he lived in a blood-soaked house owned by his grandma, we ever get a name on that grandma? Did we ever actually dig up who the name of the person who owned the house we've been digging all this evidence out of from? Is that anywhere?
No, sir. The deed.
No, we didn't. We didn't get that.
It was a physical deed, and it appeared to be very old. It nearly turned into dust as we grabbed it. And the first name was unreadable, but the last
So you're
name was
telling
very
me you
clearly
found a
Yuhoff.
house filled with blood and gumbo and body parts and whatnot, and it just didn't seem like you could go check with the counter recorder or anything like that and get the actual name of the person who owned the house, what was soaked with blood, anything like that?
Well, like I stated, we did check the deed, which came back to a Miss Yuhoff, but he also, in the interrogation, claimed that it was his grandmother.
Okay, so somebody was owning a house filled with blood and body parts, and you just never bothered to get their actual name, and this fella here is solely responsible. Fella what does not own the house, solely responsible for all the blood, body parts, and all that whatnot. That what you're trying to tell me here, Mister?
Because she was nowhere to be found. He also claimed
Did
that
you
she
try
had
looking for her by any chance?
Yes, I did.
Past,
She
I know you didn't bother to get the name of the actual person, but did you bother looking for the person whose name you do not have? How much effort did you put in that there?
well, quite a lot, assuming I was
Oh,
taking
really?
this to court.
Cool. What's her name?
I wouldn't know.
So you didn't get past step one of figuring out how to find said person, which would be getting their name. You just immediately decided this is the fella you had to lock up, right? This fella who did every single thing, fella whose name ain't on the deed of the house.
He's repeating the same question.
I'm not getting an answer here.
So your objection is going to be denied, Mr. Cornelius. Let's try to ask a more clear question.
All right. I guess all I can say is we have made no effort as a state to get to the bottom of the person who owns the blood-soaked house filled with boiling body parts. Can we get that at least?
As stated in the previous evidence, there was a very clear sign stating that where the body was found and all of the other evidence, it was Jack's room, presumably Jack Yuhoff. As I said, when I picked up the deed, it nearly crumbled into dust. The first name was just gone. You could not read it anymore.
Yeah,
and during the interrogation,
a fella can't just go into a house and steal a deed from somebody and they own the house. It is recorded with the county, it is recorded with the state, and the state right now has put this person on trial. So has anybody bothered to get the full name of the person who owns the house, what was soaked in bloody parts in blood and gumbo?
I'm actually pretty confident that the suspect does not even know the name, as he kept referring to.
It's not up to him. He is not prosecuting himself. It's up to us here, the state, to have the name of the person.
we could not find her.
Mr. Yuhoff. Okay, that is all I'm asking. How much effort was put into finding this person? What was the dragnet there? Because apparently you guys saw a deed and it was dirty, so apparently the case went cold there for you. That's what I'm finding. You decided to go pump 49 bullets in this fellow over here.
No, what? For the record, we pumped it full of bullets because he lunged at a officer and a civilian.
Of course, yes.
Because we had multiple officers and people asking if we could not take him down peacefully.
Indeed. We're referring to that puts him down to the crime of lunging at a police officer and kidnapping. That's what we have here, essentially, right? You didn't bother to get the name of the person who owns the actual house, any of that stuff, just that a fella had a room in a house, and there was blood in that room when he wasn't there. What we're going with?
Well, the last name of the owner of the house was Yuhoff as well. Like I said,
so anybody named Conrelius in the world commits a crime, and we're tied together there? Does they have the same last name?
That's not what I said.
Is that tight enough for the state here to demand the death penalty of a man? Is that what we're going for?
Right. Mr. Cornelius, if you have a question, make it more clear. Your
last one here. All your dealings here again with this man. Have you grown to like him in any way?
Like,
Have you
no,
grown to any sort of affinity for him? You spent 2 hours with him.
no.
Eh, why is that?
It's not my job to like him. It's my job to find out
Well,
why he did it.
it's
And
not anybody's job to like anybody, but I spend 2 hours helping somebody out with some fish. I grow to like him, or I grow to dislike him. You would say you would dislike him intensely if you don't like him.
no, I'm just neutral towards him.
No, you think he is neutrally sane, and you neutrally like him? Yes.
I harbor no feelings towards Jack Uhoff.
Fantastic. Defense rest. Well, not rest, but thank you.
Hey. I got you. You finished your cross examination. All right. At this time, Chief Hunter, thank you for your testimony, sir. You may have a seat. And Chief, you may continue.
That'll be all, Your Honor. I've submitted all evidence I have to use, and the prosecution will rest.
Okay, so at this time, I just want to confirm you are ending your testimony.
Yes, I am.
Okay, if you could just stay up at the podium for me, please. And then, Mr. Cornelius, at this time, sir, it is your opportunity to cross-examine Chief Henny on the evidence and witnesses that he has brought forward. Are you going to be exercising that right, sir?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, you may begin.
All right. Well, I can't help notice, but several people involved with this actual incident are missing today. Most notably, members of the Lost Motorcycle Gang, Mike Glasser and Willow Bennet. Where are they today?
Some of them due to head issues, such as they could not make it, and others were not seen as a fittable witness.
Okay, so after discarding several witnesses, you managed to bring in Mr. Saysom here, who was asked to try some soup out, didn't like it. And this officer here, who apparently saw a deed that he couldn't read as a dead end in actually investigating who owns the house and who might be running the criminal syndicate who is running around eating people. Is that right?
I actually brought Mr. Sayson in due to the fact that he was tortured by the defendant here, along with, having his hair forcibly ripped from his head. And the officer I brought in today was actually a chief.
And where are the other people who forcibly ripped his hair from his head? Where's the rest of the gang leaders? Why hasn't your second witness found the rest of the gang leaders? Why is there no evidence about them?
Sadly,
the
rest of them aren't on trial here. Your client is on trial.
They aren't on trial.
Mr. Cornelius, I need you to ask one question at a time, please.
Well, I'm saying this man is being accused of being part of a criminal conspiracy, and we don't know his part in it. He could be an unwilling participant, for God's sakes. These people could have all put the evidence in Jack's room. That's clearly marked. It doesn't make any sense that we'd be here with one man without any type of support and anything from the other people involved.
This man still admitted to 2 different mass graves where they found 5 bodies in each, totaling 10 murders.
Well, yeah, maybe he just knows that. From having been around a family
Chief,
murder.
it is not. You said your testimony has rested. You are there just to answer questions for Mr. Cornelius only. You're not to argue with him.
My bad, Your
Honor. No, you're fine. I think you've come. Like I said, this is a grim occasion. Various people are dead. It's horrifying. But I just want to make sure the summation of your evidence here is, doesn't based on that, And this fella here, after they worked on him for long enough, they brought in some more people and they exploded, which is probably a mental illness of extreme narcissism. That's all I'm looking for here. That's your evidence?
I have submitted all evidence to the court, and you're free to view it.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Just real quick, Mr. Henny, I just need some clarifying questions before I have you.
One last thing. I'm sorry, Your Honor, if I could.
Go ahead, Mr. Cornelius.
Of all the evidence that you've looked through and speaking through all the, testimony and various witnesses and whatnot, would you say what you're accusing here, the butcher, Mr. Uhoff, you've labeled the butcher? Would you say the things he was doing was sane? Would they match your textbook definition of a sane human being?
Definition of insanity is to repeat the same thing and expect different results.
No, that's the definition of a learning disorder. You're quoting Einstein there, and it's incorrect. That is not the definition of insanity. I'm just asking, as a defense attorney and dealing with all these people, if you had to put, 100 people in a room and pick the insane one, would you pick that fella right there?
I would not. I believe everything he did was methodical and well planned.
You believe it was all methodical and well planned. Do we have any evidence of a plan here? Well planned, especially? Do we have schematics, anything like that? Do we have bank vaults written down? Do we have some Fast and Furious car jumps? Is there anything that says this guy did anything that was well planned?
Yes,
His
there
outfit
is.
doesn't seem particularly well planned. Do you think he's going around murdering people well planned?
Yes, there is. Willow Bennet worked for D8. He lured her using the fact that he wanted to buy a home. If you don't know, there's a certain
How do
trust.
we know that again? Is Willow here to testify? Do we have any documentation saying that this man lured anybody anywhere?
Not at this time, I do not.
So we do not. For all we know, these people met somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? And to sell a house, and this was Willow Bennet of Dynasty 8, right? Who would know what houses were sold and what houses weren't sold?
Correct.
Yeah, well, I own the property he was found on. It was sold 3 months ago. So I don't understand exactly how Willow Bennet was tricked into getting there. She didn't know what houses are sold and unsold. I wasn't selling the house to her.
I believe that's an inner conflict you should take out with D8.
I must be. It must be. All right. Thank you. Rest.
Thank you, Mr. Cornelius. And Mr. Henny.
Conralius.
Conrad, I apologize, sir. Mr. Henny, just before you have a seat, I know in the beginning of your testimony you spoke pretty fast. For the record, slowly so everybody here can hear, can you rename the charges you are seeking?
We are seeking 10 charges of first-degree murder, 13 charges of kidnapping, 13 charges of torture, and 3 charges of attempted murder.
Okay, thank you. You may rest. Okay, at this time, the defense, you have an opportunity to provide your testimony. You may approach the stand.
All right. The actions that were committed. Sorry, these explosions keep taking me back to Korea. God damn it. Burns my soul, all the things I saw. The actions this man was involved with committing are nothing less than monstrous. They do fit that description, monstrous. But they also meet the description of insane. This man here, he represents a definition of insanity that does not deserve to be put to death. The betterment of humanity needs for this man here to be studied. This man did not become a murderer. This man was born into a house of murderers. This man was raised a murderer who ate people. And it is all he has ever known. This man here never made the decision to be immoral. This man never made any sort of decision as far as going outside of our law. This man was the unwilling participant and accomplice to a family of cannibals long-standing in the community of Grapeseed. Now, I will not say this man does not have blood on his hands. He either has severe rosacea or blood on his face. But he is not deserving of being put to death. He is in the same field as Katie Hurst, or the uncontacted peoples of South America and New Guinea, who have never seen society. They have been separated from. They have never had the chance to learn the laws of man, let alone learn how to abide by them. And to sit here in this circus right here, in this courtroom, to put him here, He doesn't belong here any more than a goddamn terrier belongs in a goddamn game of Call of Duty. He doesn't understand it. The laws of man are beyond him. He does not hold to them because he was never given a proper chance. This man should be remanded to the Humane Labs facility for study and treatment. So the people who died today, and I have remorse. Somebody asked me if I have remorse for the goddamn people who died. Of course I got remorse. But these people would have died in vain if we execute this man as Chief Henny over here is asking for. He needs to be studied so we don't have in the future people eating gumbo made out of people. So we can actually see, the little child who has people gumbo in his eyes and say, no, no more. We learned from the butcher because we sent him to Humane Labs. We didn't execute him like a bunch of savages. I will show this man was insane and that he had no other choice. And with that, I'd like to be in calm with him.
Oh, very well. At this time, does the defense have any evidence that they want to present?
Nothing physical, no. We simply have witnesses. The defense present all the, or the prosecution present all the evidence we need.
Okay. You may call your first witness to the stand.
All right. I call to the stand Mr. Uhoff. If you great clerks of the court could ungag him, that would be fantastic.
Mr. Chief Hunter, if you can come take the gag out of Mr. Uhoff's mouth, I believe he has been patient enough thus far.
You can't be trusted to stand trial. We shouldn't have a trial. Should be in Humane Lab.
And then, Mr. Uhoff, you may approach the podium. Now, Mr. Uhoff, I know you can't raise your hands, but I'm still going to read you your oath, okay? Do you swear that the evidence you shall give to the court in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under penalty of perjury?
Absolutely.
Okay, you may proceed, Mr. Cornelius.
Mr. Uhoff,
You got this. You got this. You step out,
when
feel
did
free
you
to step
first
out.
move to your residence in Grapeseed?
I have lived there my whole life.
No, you were born into your residence at Grapeseed.
You could say that.
Indeed, indeed. And when did you first experience what you have admitted to be a human gumbo? When was the first time you had some of that?
I think it was my early teenage years.
And what'd you eat before that? Cocoa Krispies and whatnot, or
Pork.
pork? You ate pork and then you moved on to human. Yes, who? And was this your grandmother feeding you this pork as a child and then human as a teenager?
My grandfather fed me pork. My grandmother fed me my grandfather.
Okay, okay. Now this grandfather of yours, you miss him?
No.
You do not miss him. I tell you what, you ever
I miss
take
the
place?
taste.
You miss the taste of your grandfather, yes. Did your grandfather taste like nothing you had had before at the time in your teenage years?
Oh, he tasted fantastic.
Yeah, but he tasted fantastic. Did he taste unfamiliar to you?
It was almost euphoric. I don't know if I would say,
You would not say unfamiliar, it's just euphoric and great. I've had burritos that were euphoric and great, but they didn't taste unfamiliar. It tasted like a burrito.
You should try Sason.
I'd rather not. Oh, and Eddie, what is your favorite way to prepare human meat?
It depends on the person.
Depends on the person. And what about a person leads to you preparing their flesh in one way or the other? Somebody is cheerful, do you add nutmeg? And then what we're going for?
Smell.
Smell. So it's the smell of human.
is what starts it.
Is this what attracted you to Mr. Statham here, or Jatham?
He has a very good scent.
Very good scent. What does it smell like to you?
Heaven.
Heaven. All right. Well, if heaven were a place on earth, as Belinda de Carlisle once declared, what would heaven smell like? You could quantify for it. What does Mr. Statham smell like to you that makes him so undesirable?
It's as if you took a fresh pizza out of the oven.
A fresh pizza out of the oven. Have you ever had human pizza?
No.
Indeed. You ever had pizza in general?
No.
All right. So, whatever happened to your grandmother here? What was her name, by the way? We ever get to the bottom of that?
I called her Mima.
You called her Mima. So, that was her real name, or is that something you called?
I don't know.
I'd imagine not. Now, I tell you with this Willow. What attracted you to Willow here? What started this infatuation with this Willow Bennet that led to your capture?
She was important. She was protected. And they thought she was invincible.
Indeed, who was she protecting?
Motorcycles.
Motorcycles. These motorcycles cause you a great deal of disturbance out there in Grape Sea with their loud noises and their loud engines all the time?
No. They could never get me.
Hey, well, something can get you without being obnoxious. Do you find the sound of the motorcycles jarring or obnoxious by chance?
I find it amusing listening to them try.
Try to do what now?
Try to catch me. Stop me.
Well, they seem to have stopped you here, Mr. Butcher.
They did not stop me.
No, you have not been stopped. You are here in a court, gagged most of the time, and then latched back, and you're still claiming you cannot be stopped. How many bullets? Did anybody tell you at any point how many bullets entered and exited your body?
I do not remember.
Indeed. Have you ever been hospitalized?
I have.
And when was that?
After I was arrested, I woke up in the hospital.
I got you. And they didn't tell you how many bullets went into you before you came back
They
there?
did not.
They did not. All right. Good to know. And here, why? Was there any reason besides the smell here for you to target Mr. Sason?
His fear.
His fear. What brought on that fear? Do you know? Did you strike that fear into him? Me? All right. These brothers and sisters and grandmother of yours, where are they at nowadays?
Would you like to know?
Yes, that is exactly why I asked. We are in a court of law, and I'm here to ask questions. Do you have any idea where your family is?
No.
No idea. Now, would you say you are the, main head of household there of your family? Sounds kind of like it was your grandmother there.
It was my grandmother. And when she left, it was my brother, Jeff. Me and him had arguments.
I could see. So, what you're saying here is you're born into a family, possibly of cannibals, possibly just a pork enthusiast. In your teenage years, you were made to eat human meat.
And loved it.
Indeed. Did you ever go to school? Ever go to class?
No.
Never went to school. Ever have a social worker from the state come out and see what was up with the family that was out there eating human meat? In the bloody house filled with body parts? Anybody ever come by and from the state here which is proposing to execute you to see if you kids are all right out there?
Jail, they did.
Man, all right. Is your witness, prosecution?
Thank you, Mr. Cornelius. Chief,
Like,
at this time, you have the opportunity to do a cross-examination of Mr. Uhoff. Are you going to be exercising that right?
Oh, yes, I am.
All right, you may begin.
Jack. Can I call you Jack? That is your name, after all.
Tell me what you like.
So, in your testimony, you just spoke with the great Jasper over there, and you said that you were attracted to Sason because of his smell and Willow because she was protected by motorcyclists. Could you say you enjoyed the hunt?
Absolutely.
All right, and it was a challenge to you, right?
Not one bit.
Not a challenge. I like it. So, do you have anything you'd compare this to, like a goal? What would you say? Sorry, let me rephrase. Would you say that getting Willow and Sason was your overall goal?
Short term.
And what was your long-term goal?
Have as many people over for gumbo as I can.
And for the gumbo, were you was it your idea after your grandma and everyone disappeared to keep eating the gumbo? Did you like it that much?
I did.
I can see that. I can see that. Actually, I have another question. What did you and your brother Jeff get in arguments about?
He believed he was in charge.
So, what are you saying, that you were in charge, not him?
They did not see it that way, but that's how it is.
Like, let the record show he just said he was in charge. Other than
That is for the record. It's been noted.
it's on the record. He eats people gumbo too.
that's contempt.
And loves it on the record.
All right, back to what I was saying. I have actually a singular question. When you were, how did you get Willow? What was your game plan?
I did not want to eat her. I wanted to get Sason. There was no way to lure him out. I had to do it by force.
So Willow was almost just a step in your overall plan to get Sason.
You could say that.
But there was a plan.
Absolutely.
That'll be all, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rennie. At this time, Mr. Uhoff, thank you for your testimony. If you could please have a seat back at your desk.
I did good.
All right. If there's another witness, if the defense wants to bring forward.
I would like to call as my last witness a Dr. Lucy Glacia to the stand, if I could.
Is a Miss Lucy here? Okay, ma'am, go ahead and approach the podium, please.
Okay.
Okay, and just for the record, I couldn't really hear the last name. What is your last name, ma'am?
Glacia?
Glacia. Okay, Lucy Glacia. If you could do me a favor and raise both your hands for me. Do you swear that the evidence you shall give to the court in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Of course.
Now you may put your hands down. And for the record, where are you currently employed as a doctor at?
Pillbox Medical Center?
Okay, and what type of medical do you practice?
I'm a therapist and a psychiatrist there.
Okay, for the record at the court, it has been noted that you are a full-time and salaried doctor for Pillbox Medical Group. The defense may continue.
All right, again, thank you for coming through, Dr. Glacia. I appreciate it. You did a psychological evaluation of Mr. Uhoff, correct?
Yes, I did.
All right, and if I understand that obviously with a man of this caliber here that has to be bound and gagged to be brought into a courtroom to stand trial, that it would take a great deal of time to come up with a full-on, well-versed diagnosis. But just shooting the room as a doctor with the time you spent with him, what would you suspect as a possible psychological illness if there were to be any with this man?
I believe Mr. Butcher suffers from a few things. Notably, he has delusions of grandeur. He wishes to be remembered far beyond his time. I also believe he shows signs of sociopathy. Just as the big examples.
I got you. Any smaller examples? Anything? I mean, we get the full opinion here if we could.
He seems to show signs of having rage disorder. The officer who was keeping watch over us to keep me safe stated that he, at one point, had been called by his legal name and became so enraged that he broke the cuffs that he was in. That's why I have referred to him as Mr. Butcher, so as to not agitate him.
I got you. And as a doctor, and I realize this is going to sound off the wall here, but have you ever noticed any sort of condition where a person can hear a word or trigger phrase and then through supernatural strength break his handcuffs? Have you seen that happen typically, that people break their handcuffs on the mention of a word or name? Or they
Me
break their
personally, I
handcuffs
have
at all?
not. Me personally, I
haven't
have
seen it.
not, but there are examples of this in individuals in the past of
I got you.
trigger words.
And those would probably be pretty extreme examples, right, of something that would go in the books there as something that would be studied.
Oh, absolutely.
That somebody can be brought into such a rage that they can summon supernatural power. Another thing, as a doctor, how often do people survive upwards of 60 gunshots?
Oh, it is very rare. I cannot
Nah.
think of one that off the top of my head.
Super rare, I would think. That's more than 50 Cent, and he got shot a lot. My God, here, would you say this fella here, having withstood 60 gunshots and having such a multitude of mental illnesses that led to such extreme consequences, would you say he is of value to your community as a doctor, for the medical community? Would there be any value to the greater society as a whole if he were to be studied instead of executed?
I would believe so. Yes, I believe that the amount of supernatural, or I guess
It
peak.
seems supernatural. I mean, I don't want to say it out loud, but this man's strength seems supernatural. He has taken over 60 gunshots, and to be honest, like that he's just handcuffed now, I find somewhat unsettling.
You think so?
To be fair, interesting.
Trooper?
Definitely interesting. Indeed.
Can-
Now, I know this isn't perfectly a medical, a perfectly medical test here, or a litmus, blah blah blah. But on a scale from 1 to 10, if you had to choose from totally sane to absolutely not sane, where would you put Mr. Butcher based on your time with him?
On the scale is one. Which direction is one for this?
1 is Mr. Rogers. 10 is, I don't know, a guy who I guess does something more insane than eats people gumbo. Whatever you might have in your head for that. Absolutely insane.
Honestly, I would put him at a probably a 6.5. I believe that he was aware of his facilities, but I do believe that the nurture of his life affected it greatly.
And that's what I would like to get to. But did you at any point get to cover his relationship with his grandmother or his family around him?
Yes, we went into details about his life growing up and his love for his grandmother.
And then it's been insinuated by Mr. Butcher here that he ate pork until his teenage years and then switched on to human meat. Myself, I believe he just was not told in his youth. Do you think that's possible, that he was eating pork, or was told he was eating pork as a child and then later told he was eating human? Is that a possibility?
I believe it could be a possibility, though that would require further looking into the past and his grandparents.
It would require study and research and counseling. Yes, I get that much. But we're on a brief time here, and the state here is in a hurry to put him to death. So, with the time we have, would you say that those are possibilities? Just to reiterate.
Yes, anything is a possibility.
Indeed, indeed. All right. Well, then the defense rests.
Okay. At this time, Mr. Henney, you have the opportunity to cross-examine the doctor here. Are you going to exercise that right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And for the sake of time, let's keep the questions sharp and to the point.
I'll be speedy as can be, like Lightning McQueen. How are you doing, Lucy?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. Now, you mentioned something in there about wanting to be remembered. Can you elaborate on that just a tad bit, not too much?
Well, from my time with him, the having talked with the officer who had spent time with him as well, Mr. Butcher, seems to become more and more agitated at the thought that he wouldn't be remembered, that he has no legacy.
Oh, so almost like as if like a music artist wasn't remembered. I'm sure they would be mad too, right?
Most likely. Everyone has an ego.
So I was going to get at, yeah, ego can be a driving factor. Now, you also said he showed signs of being a sociopath, which you listed. Can you, some of these signs that were brought up were like such as trigger words. Is there any words you know specifically that were setting him off?
The officer that was there had told me that his name at one point had set him off.
So just calling him Jack you off instead of the butcher. I understand that. And then the last thing, so you kept, actually, second last thing, third last thing, my bad. The handcuffs being broke was brought up as like supernatural strength. Are you aware that adrenaline is a crazy thing?
Oh no, I'm quite aware of that and thought that it was probably due to the trigger word being used that caused enough adrenaline to pump through his veins so that it gave him what would appear as supernatural abilities. I mean, we've seen reports of mothers lifting up cars to save their babies with the same thing.
Yeah, we never brought them to a humane society to be studied. All right.
Humane labs. We're not taking to a kennel.
Thank you for correcting me. Humane labs.
I will say that I don't think adrenaline can save someone from 40 bullet shots. It'll keep them up for a short amount of time, but not.
You'll be amazed what the body can take. Last thing is, you said that he was fully aware of what he was doing, correct?
I believe so, yes.
You don't you don't believe that he at any time was acting as out of his own mind, I guess that would be the word for it. Let me try to simplify it. You don't believe that he wasn't aware at any time?
No, I believe he was fully aware. Going into my statement about sociopathy, he did not care.
Last thing, so you kind of touched on his upbringing. You kind of said that it could be a cause of this, or that's what I took from it. Am I wrong here?
No, you're perfectly right. Nature versus nurture. Nature of humans is not to behave as such, so it must be nurture.
Are you familiar with the Jeffrey Dahmer case?
Not as much as I should be.
All right, I'll catch you up a little bit. Jeffrey Dahmer also had a very rough childhood. His parents were so focused on their own issues, they never helped him. Along with, he was bringing alcohol to school, and he drank very frequently. He was an alcoholic. He also murdered and ate his victims, and was not given the fact he wasn't pronounced as being a psychopath. Do you believe that has any relation to this? What I'm trying to say, sorry, let me simplify. What I'm trying to say is, do you believe his childhood alone can be responsible for the actions he committed?
I believe it is entirely possible.
All right, that'll be all. Thank you.
Okay, and at this time, Doctor, you may have a seat. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Does the defense have any other witnesses they'd like to call?
We do not.
Okay. At this time, is there any more testimony the defense would like to provide?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last bit?
Yeah, absolutely. At this time, is there any more testimony that the defense would like to provide?
No, there is not.
Okay. Prosecution, are you going to exercise your right to do a cross-examination of the defense?
Yes, I just have a single question.
All right.
Shoot.
And you may proceed.
Do I
Where
need to
is
swear
the
in anything like that, or are we good here?
No, because you're not being called in as a witness.
Gotcha. All right, just making sure. Thank you, kind
where is the official report from when Mrs. Glacia actually interviewed the defendant?
of. Hold on a second. I don't recall entering that as evidence. But it came to me finally today, and I figured because we're about to start the trial here, it wouldn't be useful. I can go ahead and enter that in if you like.
Can I talk to the judge real quick? All this.
Like a closed session hearing?
No, just come up to the stand and talk to you real quick.
Yeah, that's fine. You may approach the
Oh,
stand and whisper.
Well, it's not in discovery, so it's not useful.
It's up to chief if he wants to allow it to continue.
Well, I mean, we're the ones that
He can agree to you doing it if you want to, if he will allow it. Okay, let's move forward.
All right, that will be all for me then. That'll be all for me.
Okay. All right. At this time, we're getting to the closing parts of the court case. The defense may approach the stand and provide their quick but sharp and to the point last statement.
Will do. And yes, I think we have most of this covered. The events that happened are regrettable. People are dead, and probably countless other people that were never, ever discovered. But what happened here is this man never had a goddamn choice of being a cannibal. We have no idea what exists under this veneer of murder and death and ill raising. And we might not never know if Chief Henry here and the state get their wishes of putting him to death. We might see another butcher down the road, and we still won't know what causes his goddamn supernatural strength, the ability to break chains at a trigger word, the ability to take 60 goddamn gunshots, and I'm sorry to swear in your court. The ability to take 60 gunshot wounds. And then the family, a family that we have never bothered to get to the bottom of, completely rejected any idea of figuring out this man's outbreak. We have done no work to understand why this happened. We are merely finding a person of a family of many people, putting them to death, and calling it a day. Well, what happens when the next butcher shows up? What happens when his family comes back? How are we going to understand? How are we going to catch them before they murder and eat how many other fucking people? Sorry. I got a swearing disorder. It is Korea. If we put this man to death, we might be putting countless other people to death through a lack of understanding of what makes a person like this kill, what forces them to kill, what brings them to murder. And now this state here, which I love, in the country that I love, wants to put him to death, but they never try to give him a life. The man never went to school. The man never had a social worker come to his house and say, hey, this house smells of death and Cajun seasoning. What's up? No, the first time the state comes to visit Mr. Butcher here. He has lived a life of terror and has inflicted terror upon countless. And if we put him to death and don't figure out why and finally do the work the state should have done, countless others might die. Defense ref.
Okay, thank you. The prosecution is now your opportunity to provide your last statement.
Monster. That's what I began this trial with, and that's how I'd like to end it. This man has hit the full definition of what it means to be a monster. Your Honor, you have seen the facts. You've seen how he has planned and committed his crimes. The difference between right and wrong is something that is naturally known. And lastly, you have seen that he is in full mental capacity to the point where he can meticulously plan and execute his plan as he was trying to do when he was going after Sason. To say that this man is insane, he should take it as an insult, for he has put great deal into his character. You've seen the fear he strikes in the public, and most importantly, you've seen the full capacity of one man, or of what one man with a taste for blood can do. This man has killed, tortured, and ate the good citizens of the city, and I just ask he receives the punishment he deserves.
Okay. At this time, the court will take a 5-minute recess to deliberate, and then I will come back and render a judgment. If you need to use the restroom, now would be your opportunity. Okay, court is now back in session. It appears that prosecution and defense are both here. So at this time, I will be providing my ruling. Let me just get my notes all together. All right, so in the case of Mr. Uhoff, People versus Mr. Uhoff, I do find, based on the evidence provided from Exhibits A through Q, the witness testimonies from both sides, and the totality of the circumstances backed up by the facts, I do find Mr. Jack Uhoff guilty of 10 charges of first-degree murder, guilty of 13 charges of kidnapping, 13 charges of torture, and 3 charges of attempted murder. The punishment Mr. Uhoff will receive is going to be the death penalty, which will be carried out and set forth by the governor, Lucian Lightbringer, at a later date. At this time, LSPD will take possession of Mr. Uhoff and transport him to Bolingbrook Prison for custody until a death penalty date can be set. This court has adjourned.
This is Randy Bennet with Weazel News. I am here with Judge Sins after the guilty verdict has been given to the butchers. So, Mr. Sins, how do you feel on your outcome in your decision in this case?
Well, I mean, it always weighs a heavy heart when we have one of our own citizens here locally that has been proven to commit so many heinous crimes. I mean, I just feel for the man. I really wish in society we didn't have to have court. I mean, really, I wish we didn't have to have police. I wish everybody could just get along and live happily. So I guess to answer your question, how do I feel? I just have a heavy heart today. It's never light, and I never take it lightly that I have to make these decisions, these life-changing, altering decisions, not only for the defendant, but for friends and family of him, even if it's righteously owed. I also have a heavy heart for those that were affected. I mean, you saw Mr. Sason Jatham in court. He was multiple times having a panic attack, and I just felt for the guy. I have a big heart, but I do have a job to do, and it is my duty just to find those facts and render a reasonable judgment.
Absolutely. And one final question, and we'll get out of your hair. Are you at all worried that the family of the butcher or the copycat criminals would retaliate or follow in the butcher's footsteps?
That's a great question. You know, the copycat criminals, it just it happens in society. It's something we can't really control. But I do have the full faith of the criminal justice system and our law enforcement partners to keep all of us safe. His family may be upset, but they will come and go, as does everybody with time. Am I overall really worried? No, I am not. I believe here in Los Santos, we have our number of great, honorable citizens vastly outweighs those few bad apples. And I believe if a situation ever arises where law enforcement can't handle it, that the citizens will band together and do what's right.
Absolutely. Well, we'd like to thank you for your
Yeah,
time to
absolutely.
take this interview, and we'd like to thank you for your service in this case.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Well, thank you guys for coming and willing to, stand, especially with a camera. Oh my gosh, for almost 2 hours. Thank you for your patience. I'm so glad that the citizens that maybe are handicapped or disabled that can't leave their house. You guys brought the case to them in their living room. So thank you for making this case available to all Los Santos citizens.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
This is Randy Bennett with Weazel News. I am here with District Attorney Chief Henney, who was the prosecution in this case. Chief Henney, how do you feel on the outcome in the judge's decision in this case?
Oh, I fully support that outcome. I believe this man has done such horrendous crimes that he should be put to death, and I was able to represent that and get the verdict I wanted.
All right. And just one final question. At any point in this case, was there at any point that you felt like the judge was leaning towards the defense?
There actually was. Jasper made a strong point, and I think the thing that actually got him was his witnesses. When he called the butcher up, it kind of it crossed out his flow. He had a steady flow of insanity, and the butcher kind of denounced that by admitting that he planned everything. So overall, I think Jasper did an amazing job for what he was given, and overall, he was a great lawyer today.
Absolutely. You all did a fantastic job in this case. All right, man. Thank you very much for your time, and congratulations on the big win.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna go get drunk.